Louie T. Welcome to week number 13 in the National Football League. Lockdown coverage. Miami Dolphins at the Baltimore Ravens. I told you, this in effect was an elimination game for me, and the outcome of this game would tell me a lot, not about one, but both of these football teams. I sat here on this very program. I sat there on Louie Tee Live. I've talked about this on numerous different platforms, how this game was going to be a huge indicator as to who was serious and who wasn't in terms of the postseason. Now we know who these last 5 games separate the contenders from the pretenders. Look, you can fake your way through it for the first 12 weeks of the season, but once you get down the stretch and you have to start winning games and you got to go on the road against good football teams, we find out who the weak are and who the strong are. We separate those two from each other. This is when segregation is at its best. If you stink, you need to go over here towards the right side of the field. And if you're good, you move over here to the left. We're going to separate and part these teams right down the middle so we can get this playoff football going on strong down the stretch. So this was a big one for me. And before we jump into this one, because I'm going to make this nice and quick, because this was a nice, super duper, good old-fashioned, passionate ass whooping, getting your shoes, coat, and your damn hat tooken. This was vicious. I'm talking some first half nastiness on the part of the Baltimore Ravens. They ain't have to do those boys like that. 24-0 at the halftime break, 55-yard field goal going into halftime. We're going to talk about this, and we're going to get the hell out of here. Okay? So, before we jump into the breakdown, though, if you haven't already done so, what are you waiting on? Subscribe to the Louie Tee Network for more great content in 2016 and beyond. You know we're changing the game over here. I want you to help us do that. Hit the subscription button on YouTube, Louie Tee Network. Subscribe. Also, I'm on Twitter at In The Lab Room. Go ahead, follow me on Twitter, and I'm also on Facebook. In The Lab Room is the Facebook page. All my social media platforms, right in that screen up above, scrolling across the screen. You can't miss them. Go ahead and do all of those things I just mentioned. Let's just jump into this real quick. All I took was notes for the first half, and I stopped because I saw where this was going. I didn't need to take any more notes, but I'll tell you what I got in the first half. For the Baltimore Ravens, the opening drive, it set the tone for the game. 8 plays, 79 yards. Joe Flacco, 6 of 7, 73 yards in the touchdown toss to the running back, West. Wake up, Mr. West, out of the backfield. And like I said, that was a sign of things to come. Flacco would have 4 touchdown tosses on the day, 3 of which would come in the first half of this game. 4th and 1 decisions I thought were huge for the Ravens. They go for it on 4th and 1 on the second possession. They pick it up. They go down the field. And after overcoming a holding penalty by Vladimir Dukas, they still get in the end zone. Flacco was magnificent early. They open up a big lead. Pitta was huge in this game. What a difference Pitta makes when he's healthy and he's getting open. This offense changes because, you know, Flacco loves to throw the football to his tight ends. We saw Nick Boyle get involved. Remember, he served a suspension this season. So the tight ends, Waller was big on the first possession as well. When the tight ends get involved, Flacco loves throwing to his tight ends. When they get involved, this offense is different. Then you see guys step up at the receiver position. Wallace has been doing it all season. When Steve Smith Sr. is healthy, he always helps out. But it's good to see the young guys, Aiken, come in and do some things. We saw Aiken break out last year. Haven't seen him do as much this season. Thought he had a good game. And obviously, what all Ravens fans want to see is big plays from Bashad Perriman, like the catch and run for the touchdown to put this game essentially on ice. It was already over anyway. He just put the exclamation point on this victory. But they dominated the first half of this game. Another fourth down conversion, 4th and 2 this time for the Ravens, as John Harbaugh was just in the mood to roll the dice, and they pick it up on a completion of Steve Smith Sr. They would go down and get another touchdown. So again, Pitta, huge in this game, his second touchdown in the first half to make it 21-0. Then Justin Tucker, a.k.a. J-Tuck, a.k.a. Just Incredible, with another 50-plus yard bomb, this time from 55 yards to end the first half, to make it 24-0. And at that point, this game was over. Flacco set a career high 258 yards passing in the first half of this game, 3 touchdowns. He did have the lone interception, but again, the way the defense was playing, it didn't really matter. Speaking of which, let's get to the Dolphins quickly, as they were just destroyed in this game. And I talked about this, you know, Dolphins fans wanted so much credit. I'm like, you haven't done anything yet. It's great to win 6 in a row. That's awesome. But you got to beat somebody. And this was the game that I circled on the calendar, and I said, if you're serious, if you want me to take you serious, if you want everybody to stop criticizing, this is what Dolphins fans kept saying, when is everybody going to give Tannehill his respect? When are they going to stop calling Tannehill this and calling him that? And when are they going to start appreciating Ryan Tannehill? When he stops going on the road in a big game and throwing 3 interceptions. That's when they'll start to respect Ryan Tannehill. I actually thought early in the game he played well. That first interception, you got to give credit to the safety there. Ladarius Webb made a hell of a play. After that, he unraveled in this game. I didn't think he was sharp. I thought he missed a lot of guys that he's been hitting on this winning streak. I thought the throws that he got picked off later in the game, the one behind the receiver, Jarvis Landry, Juice in the red zone, that's a horrible throw on a crossing route that he was open on. Then the late interception, just poorly underthrown and picked off. Again, mistakes that he didn't make during the 6-game winning streak that he made in this game, and that's why Ryan Tannehill, for so many, isn't the guy in Miami or isn't a guy that you respect as a quarterback that can get it done at a high enough level to put a team in a position to make the postseason. Look, the sky isn't falling in Miami. You're 7-5 now. You're still in the thick of things in the AFC wildcard race, but you're not going to win this division now. That's done after this loss. And now, all of a sudden, things get a lot tougher because now you start losing head-to-head matchups. Like, for instance, this Ravens team, if they don't win the division, guess what? Now you got to beat them, and the only way you can beat them is by finishing with a better record, which doesn't look likely after this loss. But even if you finish, let's say both of you finish 9-7 this season, okay? You don't get in because they own the tiebreaker over you. So now it gets a lot tougher because teams that you need to beat, you didn't beat. So this was a bad loss for the Dolphins. The defense didn't show up. They were horrible. They had been so good on this winning streak. They were horrible in this game. Tannehill, like I said, I thought he started the game well. I thought he did everything to put this team in a position, took him down the field. You missed the field goal. Franks, look, you can't miss early in a game like this when the other team has just scored a touchdown. You got to have that field goal. He misses the field goal. And I thought the tempo had been set. Okay, the template had been laid out for this game to go the Ravens' way in a big way, and it did. And so it's the Dolphins is what I'm used to seeing the Dolphins do late in seasons when they're contending for a playoff spot. This is what they do. They choke. They play bad football on the road. I've seen it time and time again. And silly me for putting my faith in them to get this done. I knew they weren't going to win this game, but I said I'm going to give them a chance because they're the hot team. And I wasn't sold on the Ravens offense. I've been talking about how anemic this Ravens offense was. Well, they woke the hell up today, and they woke up in a major way. 38 points for this Ravens offense. Who would have thought against this Dolphins defense who was red hot? Who would have thought that they would break out against this Dolphins football team on this day with that many points? Flacco was magnificent, and the rest is history. They get destroyed, do the Miami Dolphins, 38-6. They never showed up for this game. I think they thought this was a 4 o'clock game and not a 1 o'clock start because they never showed up for this game and they got drubbed. And the Ravens, if they can run the football, if they can throw the football like this, if they can be more efficient offensively, and again, it's one game. You don't want to get out of control with this, but look, this is why I didn't think the Ravens were going to win the division because I didn't think they could score enough points. The defense is good enough. And Jimmy Smith coming back makes a huge difference. You see how that helps this secondary along. My thing was they can't score enough points. Well, they scored 38 today. They don't need to score 38 most weeks to win. They're so good defensively that if they can just score 24, 27, they're going to win most ball games. This is scary for the other teams in the AFC, especially in that AFC North division, if they can get their act together offensively. You knew it was going to take some time for Marty Mordenwig and Joe Flacco to gel. You still question, can they run the football consistently? They still didn't do that much in this game, but they didn't have to. And maybe that was the game plan going in. Either way, if they can score points, who gives a damn how they do it? Passing, running, who gives a shit? If they can find a way to score, this is dangerous. And I mean dangerous. I might be moonwalking and backtracking as to who wins this division if they can start scoring some points. This was impressive. This was impressive for the Dolphins. It's what we've come to expect. What did you expect? I should have known better. They do this every year. Every year. I should have known better. But I fell into the trap, as I always do. Something, I don't know, I got a soft spot for Ryan Tannehill. Something always wants me to believe in him, and then we get this out of him and the rest of that Dolphins team. Don't put this all on Ryan Tannehill. This was a complete collective failure on the part of this Dolphins football team. The entire team. No one was ready to play except for Jay Ajayi, who, by the way, let me just say this before we move on. He's good. He's really, really good. All right, let's get to your comments, man. Whoa, you guys lit it up in the comment section. I am not reading all of these, but we'll get to some of them. AK says, Flacco lit it up, really abused the middle of the Dolphins defense. I'm telling you, the Ravens look really good and beat a playoff contending team even though they were terrible today. Agreed. Dolphins aren't ready for a playoff berth this year. Agreed again. And AK also says Jimmy Smith has a huge presence on the field for the Ravens secondary. And I just mentioned that Jimmy Smith makes a difference because he's the best guy you got in that secondary. And when he comes back and plays the way that he did today, then you get a guy like your rookie who's been playing some good football. He got banged up. I was a little nervous, but he did come back into the game. When you get guys like Young playing the way he's playing, and you get some other guys to step up and make some plays. I thought there was another defender, and his name escapes me right now, not Sharice Wright, but another cornerback that was hitting guys today, and he was right there on the first Ladarius Webb interception on the deep ball down the sideline. He played some good football today, so the secondary stepped up. Weddle finally caught the goddamn football on the pick, so a number of big plays, and Jimmy Smith, huge part of why they can be successful defensively if he can stay healthy. Anwar Muhammad says, maybe the Dolphins aren't as good as people thought. Yeah, simply put, yeah. SoFlo Sports says, so I guess I won't have taken a sip of the Dolphins juice, LOL. The whole NFL probably thinks we're fake now. Yep, they probably will. And that's why I didn't take a sip. Remember I told you, you asked me last week, are you going to take a sip of that juice? I said, hey, I'm taking it out of the fridge. It's nice and chilled right now. I refuse to take a sip. You know why? Because of past situations just like this where the Dolphins have burnt me. I said, nope, not taking a sip of the juice. I'll take it out the fridge. It's nice and cold, man. It's ready to be consumed. I'm not taking a sip yet. And now you see why. And I just put that cup right back in the goddamn fridge. Right back. And I'm going to put a lid on it too so it stays fresh. But I'm not taking a sip of that. No way, buddy. Ben Glassford says, ugh, my Fins got stomped today. 5 drives in opponent territory that ended up in 0 points. Need to be cleaned up along with the penalties. Yeah, Laramie Tunsil had a rough go of it today. Huge holding penalty on a nice Jay Ajayi run that would have got them inside the 5-yard line. Also, a hands to the face mask penalty, something of the sort. He was horrible today. He had a tough go of it against that Baltimore Ravens front. And when the man's going hurt, you know, it is what it is. Enrique Valencia says that's the Ryan Tannehill we all loved. Yeah, I want Ryan Tannehill to be good. I just do. So this one hurts. It stings. Jaleel says, what happened to Flacco? This isn't the playoff boy. I keep trying to tell y'all, leave my boy Joe Flacco alone, man. Y'all not listening. I'm not going to tell y'all nothing else. Anwar Muhammad says, this Ravens team can be scared if the offense keeps playing like this. And that's what I said at the top of this breakdown. And also Lucas Compton says, it was Tavon Young, the other corner. No, not on that particular play. I'm talking about another Ravens corner that played a really good game. He was hitting. He was physical. He came up on a screen and hit Jay Ajayi one time, blew him up. And he was the other corner on that interception when your safety, Ladarius Webb, came over and made the pick. It wasn't Tavon Young on that play. It wasn't Jimmy Smith. It was another guy. I can't think of his name right now. But anyway, Ravens, dominant, 38-6. Retake the lead, sole possession of first place. We'll see what the Steelers do in the 4 o'clock hour at home versus the New York Giants. But they retake the lead in the AFC North at 7-5 with a decisive and a very impressive 38-6 victory over the Miami Dolphins. For the Dolphins, what a huge step backwards as they drop to 7-5. And like I said, this is a tough pill to swallow because now you need a tiebreaker over this team if you're looking to get in, if they don't win their division, and that remains to be seen. But bottom line is you want the Ravens to win the division now because you beat the Steelers head-to-head. So if you finish tied with them, you'll get in. But if the Ravens don't win the division, now you're going to have to finish at least one game better than them because they smoked you. And this is the type of game that can set this team back because the Dolphins, everything that they were doing was built off of confidence. And the confidence was stemming from winning. And Ryan Tannehill plays better when he's confident, which is not saying much. That's most players in this league. He might struggle now. He may struggle now. And you saw the confidence waning in this game, and then you saw the mistakes follow. So this worries me. We'll see if he bounces back next week, but this worries me because Ryan Tannehill that I know goes into his shell and starts to throw interceptions to turn the football over, and this Dolphins team will suffer because of it if he, in fact, does revert back to the Ryan Tannehill that was a turnover machine earlier in the season and the guy that we've seen in the past down the stretch in seasons when the Dolphins have had chances to make the postseason. So this defense has to play better. Let's not put this all on Ryan Tannehill. Let me re-emphasize that. This defense was horrible today. Joe Flacco carved these boys up like Thanksgiving turkey. It's December. It's not November. It's not Thanksgiving time no more. They got carved up though. Tight ends ran wherever the hell they wanted to. Receivers running free. Got to play better. Got to be more careful if you're the Miami Dolphins. But in any event, that's going to do it for me here on Lockdown Coverage. Ravens, ass whooping of the Miami Dolphins. Demolition, destruction, whatever word you want to use. Use any adjective you like. 38-6. Go to 7-5 on the season and retake sole possession of first place in the AFC North. Again, pending the Steelers' result in the 4 o'clock hour. For the Dolphins, they dropped to 7-5 and all but are assured of not catching the New England Patriots in the AFC East. Now it's all about a wild card. They were in last week. Now back out. Denver is going to win in Jacksonville. I haven't seen the final score there, but I'm pretty sure they're going to finish off the Jaguars, get that W, and get back into the playoff picture and move the Dolphins back to the in the hunt category. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the lab room. Come back and join me as I continue to break down anything and everything in the National Football League. Remember, we're changing the game one live feed at a time. I will see you guys a little bit later on. Matter of fact, halftime of the Redskins game, I will be back to break down Lions and Saints. I'll see you guys then. Have a good one.